Casey at Night will start in 30 seconds. And now, introducing Casey Carter.
Buttercup, I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up, I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Casey Carter.
Welcome to another episode of Casey at Night. And first, I want to give a shout out to ASN Lifestyle Magazine actually watching the show live. That's a big deal, y'all. It's a big deal. You have no idea to how big a deal that is. So, mwah to you, Michael. If there's ever a show you should jump in on, Michael, this is definitely that show. Why, you might ask? Oh, thank you for asking. Because you allow me to start right in on one of my favorite people, not just say a favorite guest, but one of my favorite people in the whole world, Ms. Parish Blair. Hey, Jason. Now, let me first, this is the promo shot that I ran, but let me really show you some shots that Parish shared with me. Hold on while I get my stuff situated. I know it's a black screen, y'all. You're like, Casey, what's going on there? But Paris shared some photos with me, and I want you to see these photos because it's sort of a setup to the energy that she brings. You get a huge sense of the presence she has whenever she walks in the room. Now, and I say this, and this is the photo that I used for the promo. So you get to see the whole thing and you can see why I chose this photo because, yeah, yeah, sex goddess for sure, right? Yes, absolutely. And then this next photo, the energy right here. So Parrish talks a lot about gratitude and manifesting. And when she sent me this photo, I'm like, I see all of this in her in this photo. And so, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to someone I am honored to call a friend, Parrish Blair. Hello, beautiful.
Blessings. Oh my goodness, that introduction was amazing. Thank you so much for that positive energy.
Oh, no, listen, that is the energy you give. So obviously I'm giving it back. And I want to right off the top, I want to thank you for being on the show. First of all, I want to thank you for even asking to be on the show. You've been on my show before. You and I
Yeah.
met when I was co-hosting someone else's show. So that's sort of how our relationship began. So thank you for reaching out. And listen, I want to be clear for y'all watching. I would have gotten to Parish because she's on my favorite guest list. But I'm so honored that she reached out and said she wanted to be a part of Casey at Night. And hey, Duchess. And so, again, ladies and gentlemen, someone I'm honored to call friend, Parish Blair, give us a real quick, for those who don't know who you are, a real
Mhm.
quick bio on who you are and what you do.
Okay, I'm Parish Michelle Blair. Who I am is a mother. I express my sexual energy through spirituality. And so, in that sense, I'm a sex goddess. And I've always considered myself a sex goddess because I connect to God through sex. I believe God is in the orgasm. And in fact, I know that in my life. And now, what's different for me than probably earlier when we met each other is I'm back on tour, but my tour is all about bringing solutions to some of the conversations I hear. So I see myself as kind of like a big mama now, a sexy big mama in the
A sexy
community.
big mama. So if I may, when you say that sexy big mama, because first of all, for the folks in the African American community, Big Mama has all the answers. That's who you go to talk to. That's who, whenever you get in your presence, whether you asked for it or not, she's gonna give you some nuggets that you can put in your pocket and take along on your journey. So is that what we're talking about? That you have seasoned to a place where you feel you can offer that kind of advice or education?
Mm, I think that that happens organically, but I would
Hmm.
like to say no. I
Okay.
am not an elder in the community. I think it takes all types of elders. I'm the elder that the women who are maybe twerking and
Hmm.
far out on the edge of just like, oh my gosh, I got my sexual freedom, I can express myself, and nobody can judge me, and we're all doing this together. When they get a little bit wiser about what they're sharing, why they're sharing it, and they start growing into a mother and a grandmother, they'll have someone to look at. Because if I don't express who I truly am throughout my whole life and not change just because I'm in my 50s, then I'm supposed to look like the aunt, in the family that wore the sweater, and no, that's not me. And so I'm a reflection of the woman who is, younger and looking for someone that she can trust. While I'm on my sexy journey, living my life, I feel moved to share my life that way. But that's not. I wouldn't say that I'm the wise one and come to
Okay.
me and I got the answers. But I do connect with spirit, and spirit has answers, and I help people connect with spirit, which is
Okay.
just your breath.
Okay.
So,
So I like that answer. I like that answer because it resonates with me in the sense that I have uh, three. Well, my brother has three kids, so I have two nephews and a niece, and
mhm,
I feel like that person that I am that person can be that person for them, in that
mhm.
youngness. And even my daughter, she's 26 and or she'll be 26 tomorrow. Happy birthday, Taylor. Um
Oh, beautiful name.
yes, thank you. So I absolutely love that because listen, we need that. We need for there to be someone that that generation can feel comfortable with, can share with, and not feel like they're going to be shamed for being
Hmm.
who they are. And I think, to your point, living your sexy life openly lets them know, okay, I can talk to her and she's not going to judge me. So I like that. I like the way you describe that. And so, speaking of the sex goddess that you are, let us talk about what goes into a sex goddess library, because I asked, give me some things that you're currently working on, and one of the things you mentioned was Diary of a Sex Goddess. And you mentioned there's a book, you have got your IG series and a visual experience. But my question, Casey the Parish, what goes into the Diary of a Sex Goddess? I want to know.
uh, the truth, the truth of my experiences that I have about how I really perceive it once I let all the programming go and all the negative thoughts go, and I can reflect and say, that wasn't bad at all. Actually, nothing that I thought was going to happen bad happened, only the good. Now, what keeps making this good happen? Whether that's money, uh, uh, growth in my business, sex, whatever it is. So it's a place where I could take my time and tell myself the real story, not the story that the world tells
Mm.
me.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, where you can tell yourself the real story and not the story that the world tells you. What exactly does that mean?
Um, I don't really have anything like really at the surface, but I can give you some examples
Sure,
of maybe in my past,
sure.
what the world told me about um, pleasuring myself, what the world told me about uh, being a brown woman, and how my body should move, and just just different stories. They weren't bad and they weren't good. They were just had nothing to do with me at all.
And
But I
nothing
was
to do with
programmed
you.
to say,
Nothing.
okay, I'm
Right.
not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. And it wasn't wrong before. I felt like at one part of my story in my 30s and 40s, when I would tell the story, I had to see it as those people were wrong. But then I realized I knew that was some bullshit though. Say it anyway. So I'm really, like it's
Yeah.
different if I have no idea. But instead of getting mad at myself and saying, yeah, you're dumb for staying or you're dumb for trying, whatever it is, I realized that voice was right. I
Yeah.
was hard headed and I kept going. But if I start paying attention, that's why the journal's there. And so I want to share. Well, I think I phrase it as a journal, but it's really the diary. But the reason why I want to do that is because I think people look on social media and they see, you know, me doing what I'm doing or you doing what you're doing, but they don't know there's a story. They're just like, oh, I want to do that.
Right.
And they don't have to know my story. My story is not that important. But with my story comes the lessons and the wisdom
Mhm.
behind why I'm doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. And normally back in the 1900s, people just did their stuff and then they pop out and they're in a
Right.
magazine advertising. Now it's like we're taking out the garbage together and living life
Living.
together, so you get a
Yeah.
chance to look at people's formulas behind the scenes and as they grow. And I'm not saying slow down, don't be sexy or anything. I'm saying if it resonates with you, if not, it's okay, have fun, you
Hmm.
know but what if you had fun with wisdom?
Right.
you that, and I feel like that's what's in the diary, is wisdom, the things I'm learning.
Okay. So I love that because you take that by taking that veil off and creating the transparency, you're still not telling someone don't live the life you're living. It's like, this is how I lived my life, these are the things I've learned and experienced as a result of that, these are my takeaways. And so when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing, even for myself, because I live parts of my life out loud and parts of my life I still keep privately. But I'll be honest with you, listening to you talk, I'm like, there are moments where I'm like, maybe I do one day just cook dinner on Instagram and just let people see me in that moment, see what it looks like to be Casey in that moment. Because I feel like COVID came at a time that put us had us so isolated and had people feeling so alone, um, that these I think it's what sort of propelled a lot of people on social media, took them to another level because they had no choice but to live their life through this outlet. And I know, just because I've known you this long now, that I know you have pretty much shared your life's experiences on social media, um, before it was like really the thing to do. So yeah, and it's funny. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment where I'm just kind of sort of processing my own experience. But I'm sitting. I've said this many times where I do this show. I love doing Casey at Night. I love having conversations like this with people like you. And then when Casey at Night is over, I genuinely don't then go back to the live and give you any more of Casey. And I've talked about this with myself for quite a while. And I'm gonna have to challenge myself to share more like that, because I do think you're right. Just being transparent, not that I'm necessarily trying to tell somebody how to live their life, but just the transparency is probably good for other people.
Well, I did it because that's how I was guided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I something guided me on to Facebook and then onto Instagram. I do everything by inner guidance. But one of the things that I've learned is F everybody else, create things that inspire you that you want to share because half the people don't have the attention span anyway. And then you're hopping and moving around for new people coming in all the time. But
Yeah.
when you just know, I love my cigars. I don't, people see me smoke them, but they don't see me buy them. People see me smoke them, but they don't see me giving them as gifts and going to events. And,
Mm-hmm.
like, I think like doing the things that you love and sharing it. Cause then it's like, I can almost get, if I get on the right platform, I'm literally just sharing the joys of my life, and I'm getting paid.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not what I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just
No, no,
saying.
no, 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 no. And that's why I'm saying to you, I'm again. I always enjoy the people I bring on the show for one reason or another because it allows me because literally I'm staring at myself this whole time, right? So in that moment, I'm oftentimes having a conversation with myself on the inside, you know, encouraging myself to push myself to do that thing because that's why I literally said I can do this Casey at Night thing all night. We could sit here all night, Parish, and just go from one topic to the next, and I would have the absolute best time. Turn this camera off and put on my Instagram camera, all of a sudden I don't know what the hell to say. I don't know what to do with myself, right? But this is where I say, listening to you talk about you just sharing your life, I'm like, okay, I've got to get comfortable with that. I got to get comfortable with that because I do find I do enjoy watching other people. I've watched you having your chats on social. I've watched some of my other friends having their chats or just doing things. And I literally am fully engaged and enjoy seeing folks sharing that experience, even if it's just in your case, just for the energy of it, because you always give good energy. I love that about you. So,
You could do that, but I mean, you could start off by just getting yourself warmed up and letting people know it's coming, that you're staying on afterwards. You're going to see me break down my studio a little bit. Who's out there? Did you get off work? And I'm turning off my camera sometimes. You can do whatever you want to do,
right.
you know? Um, and then you're like, okay, that helped me get a little bit easy. And then people are going to encourage you, like, you can do it, Casey. Stay on a little bit longer.
See this people is why you talk to Parish Blair. So encouraging. Okay, listen, we're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about the Parish Blair Love Affair tour, and specifically how to adore men. I'm so excited about this. Hold on, y'all. We'll be right back.
Watch Casey Carter and her co-host, Carrie Anthony and Desiree on Exotica TV's BoobTube, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on YouTube and Twitter at Exotica TV. Join the ladies each week as they talk about what's hot and what's not on TV, streaming, and in theaters. Don't miss them and Jay, the man behind the sound effects. Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on Exotica TV. What could possibly go wrong?
And we are back with my guest, the beautiful Parish Blair. Okay, so if you missed the last segment, we talked about what goes into a sex goddess diary and Parish sharing her life, on social live and all of that. But we're now going to talk about the Parish Blair Love Affair tour and specifically how to adore men. Okay. I gotta say this. I love this topic. I love this topic because I feel like in some crowds it might be controversial. In other crowds, folks will be like, yes, I'm all in. Tell me more. And so I'm in the latter. I'm in the yes, I'm all in. Tell me more. Tell me about the Parish Blair Love Affair tour. What is that? And then we're going to talk about how to adore men.
Okay. The Parish Blair Love Affair Tour is a journey that I started back in 2015. I was guided to start this tour. I was discovered um, by doing what the spirit that guides me told me to do. And I got an international sponsor. I had no business cards, no website. I never asked anyone to do anything. I just told them there's a voice in my kitchen. Every time I put flour in the cupboard or seasoning, it tells me to imagine that I'm putting my luggage in an overhead and that I'm on tour and I'm going to do these things. And I kept saying, Parish Blair Love Affair Tour.
Mm.
And I didn't want to say that to people out loud because I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to sing. Like, what am I going to do on tour? And I had a death experience where I made a vow to, when I'm guided to do something, do it. And so I went on Facebook and said, yeah, I think I'm going to have a tour. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how I'm going to get there. And Taylor Sparks saw my video about how I'd been doing sex transmutation and said, if you can really do that, I can put you on. You could be a international public speaker. We could be best girlfriends and travel the world. And I'll be done. Didn't it happen? That's exactly what happened. I literally just did what that voice told me to do, which is self pleasure myself and imagine I'm in a hotel and I'm about to go on stage. It kept telling me to do that over and over again. And that was when I was newly on my journey of sex transmutation. I was practicing it and then created a whole tour by doing it, but I didn't understand it at a deeper level until later. But this tour took me all around the world with
Mm-hmm.
organicleaven.com. The founder is also the founder of Sisters of Sexuality, Taylor Sparks,
Mm-hmm.
and just lived such an amazing life doing a documentary about love. The Love Affair Tour is about me releasing judgment of myself and the world around me so that I can practice and feel more love. And as I went and around social media saying I was going to have a tour, she heard about it and said, "Where are you going to go?" And I said, "I don't know, Starbucks, I guess, and hug people. I have no idea." And she's like, "F that. Do you got a passport? Can you go to Spain? Can you go here?" And I was like, I got to get a babysitter. I don't know what, I wasn't expecting this. And it happened. And like a few months later, I was in Ebony magazine. Like I got quoted in Ebony magazine. It was just so many blessings that came from the tour at the early stages. But towards the end, it was even more beautiful because I started realizing this is why I'm surrounded by all these men. Because my whole life I've served women. Why am I all surrounded by these men? This is an accident. I didn't do this on purpose.
Yeah.
And it was so that the things that the men were telling me, I could share with the women.
Okay.
And then Spirit guided me to create something called I Adore Men Monday, where on Monday my social media was dedicated to that. And it's continued to grow to where now I have a program called How to Adore Men with Your Positive Feminine Energy, Love, Sex, and Respect. And Spirit recently told me marry those two things together. So when I'm going on tour, like I'm here touring right now in Tampa, I'm creating content by the adoration of King Noir and Jet Setting Jasmine, learning what where does she draw that desire to want to adore man, like, and I have to start off with my people are the sexiest people on the planet, so you're going to first hear from in How to Adore Men, people who are very comfortable with their sexuality, who you would think are at the top of the top, but they too probably had to go on a journey to learn how to get there.
Yes.
And so I think when people hear me, they think oh, you're always that way, or you're they don't understand. I have a story,
We
and
all
I
do.
have the wisdom, and I can sit back and watch you struggle. But it's so easy when you recognize how powerful you are as a woman, and when you understand literally what you have is an organic robot that you program with love, food, and pussy. And he does whatever you want. It's so simple. We're making it way too complicated, especially if you choose the one you really, really love. Not the one you're tolerating, not the one you don't want somebody else to have, not the one that you're settling for, but the one you really love. That's why some women can't say, I'm not never doing that for a man. You haven't found your man. When you find your men, if you're poly, when you find them,
You'll
that's
do
all
it.
you want to do. That's life is for, be good to each other.
Okay, so that very last thing you said, oh my God. Okay, let me say this. Since I'm
Mhm.
with Parrish and I'm being so transparent, I'm that person, and I said to you, Parrish, before we started, I'm this person who, when it comes to black men, for me, whatever you need, however I can elevate you, I'm doing that, right? Because we as a people have been stepped on and put down and tortured and beaten and dehumanized and fetishized and all of these things, right? So it is very important to me that I embrace black men. And we're all flawed as humans. So it's not that I'm trying to overlook someone and their flaws. That's not what I'm saying at all. But the very last thing you said about, about having that journey to get to this place, I definitely had to be on that journey because there was a moment in my life where I would have said to you, I'm not, doing this and I'm not doing that. No, you've got to earn that and so forth and so on. And what you said about finding that right person that you absolutely positively want to do these things for, do these things with, that is hardcore fact from my own personal experience. When you meet the right person or persons, like Parrish said, you will have the desire to do these things. You will have the desire to give them that level of adoration. And here's the thing, and this is what I said to Parrish earlier. I think for some people, they feel like for us, for women who are speaking these words, that we are in some ways allowing ourselves to be subservient. I personally don't believe that. I personally believe, and this is what I say as it relates to like the energy that Parrish gives, it makes you want to give it back. When you give on that level, that energy does come back at you. And so I just, I definitely find myself looking for opportunities to use Parrish's words, looking for opportunities to adore men, looking for opportunities to give that energy, um, and not necessarily seeking it in return, but to just be able to give that energy. And I've known you long enough to know there have been multiple levels of you on this particular journey. Because if I remember correctly, there was even, a time when you were talking about how to, what's the right word? Fellatio, how to get fellatio.
Oh, I have to say it that way.
You don't have to. I'm just, you know, but you know what I'm saying. There was a time where
Yeah,
that was a big thing.
it's about how to do that with a heart full of
Okay.
gratitude. Yeah. Yeah, that's what that one was about. And that's still on the journey. I'm not a purified sex goddess, and I don't talk about those things anymore. I'm putting it all in context now.
Okay.
So if I'm all this, sex goddess with a golden ray that shines from my vagina, and I bring in money and all the things that we say that we are as goddesses, then what kind of company are you keeping? It's just a question.
Right.
Like, and where's all these results from these powers? Look at your sex life. Does it reflect that? Look at your relationship with your mother. Does it reflect that? Like, it's not a title that you put on for Instagram. It's not even a lifestyle. It's who you embody.
Right.
So when I embodied that goddess in me, I realized, especially spending time with men, good men, all
Hmm.
types of good men, maybe not my good men that I want, but they're still good men.
Right.
you know But when I realize how much they value us, even though we're complaining if they don't, but we don't even have the proper value of ourselves. We just know what we're taught is are signs of that. But what we're taught about men, in my opinion, and I've talked to other women who feel similar. I don't know what you feel, but most of what I learned about men from women, what most of what I learned about men was from women, and what I learned about from the women was more of what to watch out for about men and what their problems with men, and so I didn't hear anything about how to adore them, how do you make them feel special, how do you respect them, how do you not interrupt, because you know how we like to interrupt. I didn't.
What you just said is really um I remember having a conversation with my mother. I just turned 56 in June, and must have been after my 50th birthday. I remember having a conversation with her and saying to her that we didn't talk about, for example, all of those things you just said. I'm like, growing up, we were supposed to visually, we had visual education on relationship, but we don't know the intimate sides of our parents' relationship or folks senior to us. So I'm like, so I don't know, you know, what you all talk about in your private time, that when I see you publicly, I can explain this is how you're connected and why you're connected and all those things, or why you're still married now, 30 some odd, 40 years or whatever later. I don't know the secret from that perspective, because you don't necessarily, like you said, people don't talk about the intimate workings of the relationship. So I agree wholeheartedly, because we both had husbands at one point, and I think if I had had those conversations before the husband, I might not have chosen that husband. Not that he's a bad guy, but I might not have chosen that husband, or I might have had a different relationship with that husband if I had had this, secret, intimate inner workings of how to interact with that man.
Yeah, I think yeah and no.
Okay.
As you, I mean, in my thoughts, and they're just in my universe. I'm just speaking from my universe and what I've experienced spending almost a decade talking to literally tens of thousands of men.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that complicated when you really appreciate it and you really desire it and you really want it. It's a natural thing, just like how men naturally want to talk to us and touch us and smell us. And, it's a natural thing. A lot of that natural um, uh, feelings that we should have for the masculine has definitely been manipulated by media
Mm-hmm.
and social conditioning and all sorts of things. And I mean, I know women can, get really upset sometimes when I talk like this, because they think because I talk like this, I don't acknowledge the men that do all the things that obviously we know that women have been suffering from. And no, I'm not going to acknowledge them, because I'm over here manifesting a place where you can find good men. I don't want to mix them up with the stories of the pain from the decisions that women could have done better. I want to show them how to do better, where all the good men are, so they have a motivating factor to want to do that. And so that's what I'm doing. So I'm not, we all can't do everything.
Right.
So I don't touch on the men that you don't want and all the men that hurt you. I'm talking about honest men. I've seen tens of thousands, and I'm talking single men.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not even talk about the married men and all that I've learned about what it feels like to be a husband when you can tell your wife doesn't really value you. She loves you, but she doesn't really value you. She doesn't really think of you that way. And
Ooh.
he can tell by the way they make love, the fact that he only initiates, and there's only certain things she's wanting to do to him or for him, or no touch on the head, no nothing. That men, just because they're quiet, we think, oh, they're girl, he don't care. You have no idea, sisters. They do care, and they be
Okay.
registering, and they still pay the bills, and they
Yeah.
still protect you. And most of them that you keep wondering and you keep threatening and accusing them of cheating are even still being faithful. I know it, and it warmed my heart. It opened me up. It made me cry lots of times, not in the session, but afterwards. Like all this time, I've been listening to all these women saying all men cheat, and that it's not true. Thank God. When it's my time, I don't have to be thinking these thoughts anymore because that's not true.
Okay, so Parrish, what you just said right there, we're gonna come back on a whole nother day and have that conversation because I think there's something profound in hearing that what we think they're doing, they're not really doing. And we're not saying 100% aren't doing it. We're just saying statistically, when you lump everybody together, it's not what you think. But I think the thing that absolutely really resonated me in that comment was they can tell that we don't value them and how we make love to them. And that is so significant because that is, it's an intimate thing. It's where we let down our guards and allow ourselves to be free. And when you talk about don't touch me here, or whatever, I know that's a big deal. I know it's a big deal. And while they tolerate it, I know it matters. I absolutely know it matters. Um, we're going to take one more break. And when we come back, I want to transition from Adoring Men to the Parrish play date.
Okay.
I again, something that I know about Parrish from the years. I'd never had a chance to ask what does a Parrish play date look like, but we're gonna ask that question when we come back. So just hold that thought right there.
On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up.
Okay, so we are back. And I just want to give a shout out to some folks that joined the show. Sabrina Fitzpatrick, hey girl, we have to see each other. We haven't seen each other in years. I don't even know if it's been since COVID. Indigo Montoya, who said, I learned absolutely nothing from my parents. So private. We've all lived that journey. This is why we adore Parrish, because Parrish is ripping the curtains and is letting us into all of the little things that she's learning on her journey. Tom Taylor, who asked, how long are you live for? I'm live sort of till 8:30. I got to be off by 9 because I got another show at 9. But thank you for joining, Tom. Appreciate you. And of course, I mentioned Michael from ASN Lifestyle Magazine. Parrish, I am going to interview you for that magazine because you would be so good in that magazine. Oh my God.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We'll talk about that. Duchess Cashmere. Ugh. I love me some Duchess Cashmere. You don't understand. Love Duchess Cashmere. Thank you for being there. And super fan Jason. So Parrish, Jason and I met virtually on the other show that I do immediately after this, which is called BoobTube for Exotica TV. And Jason and I had a chance to meet live and in person. He's a wonderful fan. He shows up for this show. He shows up for BoobTube after this. He comes to Exotica when he can. He even gifted me. There was one year Exotica had these gold satin jackets, and I really wanted one. And Jason gifted me the jacket. Jason is such a sweetheart.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's so wonderful.
He's
Cool.
such a so super. When I tell you super supportive, and asks for nothing in return. And so we just love on Jason, because his support
Abundant
is,
blessings, Jason.
yeah, his support is so
And
genuine.
you're so you are so deserving, Casey.
Mm, thank you, Parish. Don't make me blush. Don't make me blush. But but yeah, just want to give Jason a big shout out. And and super big shout out to my admin on my day job. I got a day job, y'all. And my admin, when we were leaving from work today, said, say my name on your show. So big shout out to Lily. I'm not giving you her government name, but big shout out to Lily. Hey girl. There you
Hey,
go.
Lily.
Um, so
You know, Casey, I just noticed something.
yes, honey.
I need to get a charger quickly.
Go
I
ahead.
thought I had two phones.
Go. I can talk. Go ahead. You go get a
Do
charger.
I need to mute something or?
No, you can go get a charger. You can say it. That's fine. So, go ahead, babe. I got you. So, listen, Parrish and I met. I was co-hosting. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of the name of the show. It was like a sports show. Real nice gentleman had invited me to co-host with him. And so I did. And one of the guests he had on his show was Parish Blair. And God, that was pre-COVID. And let me tell you, I had the pleasure of meeting her live and in person. And this energy that you see of her on the show, it is even more intoxicating live and in person. Oh my god, it is so, when I tell you intoxicating, it is no other way to really explain what I'm saying about Parish. What you're seeing on the screen is who you see in person, and it is amplified because you can feel that energy, and you just want to be near her. Like, even if you're not actually in conversation with her, you just want to be close enough so that you can suck up that energy. Like, I shit you not when I say she's got me really thinking. Like, and I always, Lorenzo will tell you, I'm always talking about what I think I want to do, what I plan I want to do, whatever. And he, super super supportive, is always 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 encouraging me to do. Yes, you can do it. You'd be great at it. Do 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 it. And I just have to say that, when you see your friends do things that are similar and comparable to what you want to do, what you think you want to do, and they do it successfully. And let's just be clear, success isn't defined by me. Success is defined by the person doing it, right? Like, I can't define Parish's success at what she's doing. She defines it. But what I can say that I perceive as success is, Parish was doing this stuff when I met her. Parish is still doing this stuff. Okay? So for me, to me, that's success. If you're still doing it after years of doing it, and she was doing it before I met her. So I'm just saying. Okay, you're all better now? You're all plugged in?
Yes, thank you. I apologize.
No, no apology. Listen, I said I could talk while you had to do what you had to do. Stuff
Okay.
always
Well,
happens.
I'm so thankful that, your audience is watching live. You're so awesome and magnetic, but I didn't want to take away from the flow of them, getting into, goodness, the conversation that goodness.
No worries, honey.
That,
I appreciate you. Listen, if we have to bring you back, we just have to bring you back, and we're bringing you back anyway. Because I want to talk about love, food, and pussy on another day.
okay.
I had to write that down. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about before we end the show is what happens on a Parish play date. Like, again, I've known you since before COVID, and there were Parish play dates before COVID. And at that time, I didn't know you well enough that I felt I could ask that question. Girl, what be happening on a Parish play date? This I need to know.
Oh, it was, well, when I started doing it, Spirit told me create a page called Parish Playdate and put up $50. And I'm like, for $50, what would I get? I don't know what I would do. And so I just did it. I made the page, put the thing, and put $50. And then right when I was leaving the screen, oopsie,
Mhm.
um, someone reached out and sent $50. I just made the page, and I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I told the person that, I would get back with them and let them know when I could schedule. And then I just went and asked, what am I supposed to be doing? And it showed me help, the first part I'm going to be doing is helping men who are rusty at dating.
Ooh.
And they don't want to commit just to have feminine energy, but they also need to know what they're not doing and what they could do better. And so that's what I did. And um, I mean, I just did what Spirit told me to do. But basically, I was going out on dates. People were paying me $750 an hour to tell them, do this. Now, if I were you, I wouldn't say that. It was so awesome. But I didn't even know that's what I was going to be doing. And I made it about manifesting because I'm like, I am not a dating expert. I've been married most of my life and I dated my husband. So I'm not going to act like that just because I'm getting guidance to do it. So I let Spirit show me, how can I talk to the people that you're guiding me to in these play dates about manifesting? Then Spirit said, take it to Instagram and start doing parish play dates and practice manifesting love with people. And I started inviting people out on dates, just people that vibe, and I could tell they're respectful and nice, but they got personality. And I hear them say a little bit of maybe negative things about dating. Then I ask them out on dates and ask them, will they join me on play dates? And we have a good time. You know who Sky is with hedonism and debauchery
Mhm.
play cards.
Mhm.
He's been one of the guest people on just different people doing things. So it's like I invited somebody to go out on a date. It feels like by the time we finish, people say, I really felt like I went out. Like the next day, it felt like that. And the person's, educating us or talking about whatever it is they're there to do. And I invite men and women out because it's platonic.
Okay.
So
So are these actual out in the world experiences or are they virtual?
no, it started off that way, but when Spirit said take it to Instagram, it was just, on the platform. And so it was a virtual experience. That's why people said, "Boy, I felt like I went somewhere the next
Okay.
day."
Okay.
And then there was a pause because nobody was getting close to anybody pretty much for
Mhm.
a while. And then I picked back up and did the parish play dates as the dating again. And then Spirit started showing me last year when I got like banned from going live on TikTok, that the reason why these things keep happening to me isn't because I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm covering up everything. I can't even have no fun no more. What's going on? And then it was like Spirit was saying, it's doing that. And I'm like, so now it's not okay for me to be sexy? Like, what's changed? And it's like,
Mhm.
you can the one always remember that the mother is the highest frequency of the feminine energy, and the mother is the bona fide evidence that she is the most fuckable person on the planet. So that is, oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're good. No, you don't have to apologize.
Okay.
You're good.
She's the, obviously,
Right.
the most desirable, sexy woman on the planet. So those things go together. You don't separate the two. And it was telling me, utilize parish playdates as the place where I express my mother energy and show the balance. Because when
Mm.
people see me in any form, but it seems like it's gotten worse since I'm gray. I don't know.
That's
But
so
it's
sad.
not appropriate for the platform. It's not even about what I did, it's about energy. My
Right.
energy, that sexual energy isn't appropriate unless there's context. So I'm giving them context by showing them the mother energy.
Mhm.
And the mother energy is contained on the page Parish Playdates at TikTok.
Okay.
That's where it's like an adult daycare. If you're feeling like, oh my God, why can't I just breathe for a minute? And one thing after another is happening, like adult hard things. and you can feel like, I'm talking to men, women, you can feel like you're right at the edge of just breaking down in emotional tears, but you can't. So you never will, and you keep on trucking, but you need a place where you can breathe.
Right.
The combination of art therapy, music, just all the things that you remember. If you were born in the 1900s and you went to kindergarten, you used to like, I did anyway. I remember playing instruments and
Yep.
being creative, and the learning was about the playing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the things that make us make choices that make our life hard started from something when we're children. I don't like to go back and tell the sad story. I
Right.
just do it through play and pleasure. So it's like an adult daycare where we draw, we do a lot of great things. And I know it might be hard to conceptualize, but if you
No.
visit me TikTok, you'll see.
Okay. No. And let me make sure I write that down.
Remember back in the day, there was Romper Room,
I
and
do. I remember all of
that's the energy, that's the vibe, but for adults. But not the sexual expression part. That's not a part of anything on TikTok for me.
it. Okay. Okay. So I absolutely do remember the kid being a kid and
Mhm.
encouraging or being encouraged to go outside and play. And even, my kids were born, my daughter was born in 1999, but I always say that both my kids were technically born in the 2000s. So kids born in the 2000s had a different play experience. There wasn't as much go outside and play. Um, but I do remember how how much fun. Like when I think about that part of my childhood, such fond memories. Even times when I had fights with my friends. Childhood in general, as you say, in the 1900s was it was so much fun. Like I feel bad for my kids. They didn't have that experience that we had. But I like that idea. I like the idea that you create a space where we can go back to being a kid and just enjoying ourselves and not at all what I thought a parish play date was, if I were to be honest.
Right? I know,
But
but wait, there's more.
I love that phrase. Tell me more.
Friday through let's see that. No, Saturday through Thursday. That's what Parish Playdates is about. But on Friday night is that playful experience where people write in first to tell me what are the things that you really are starting to not like about dating. And you've tried and you think positive and you do all the things, but you keep attracting men that don't have manners or women who don't know how to appreciate or whatever the thing is that you're noticing that you don't like.
Hmm.
And then if I felt guided to choose you and we go out on a date, I'll be the feminine energy,
Hmm.
that you're saying isn't there. And you might go, yeah, but I know I'm not your type and you're not my type and this isn't real. But I'm going to be talking about quantum physics and science and showing that when you are in a space, there's quantum entanglement. So
Yeah.
when you leave and a woman's not interrupting you, she can hear your harsh thoughts about what you think about women and hold that because you're not her man. You're her sisterhood's son.
Hmm.
So if she treats you bad, she's treating the sisters bad. So you get a chance to get in the space of a goddess and go out on a date and feel uplifted and poured into and laugh and enjoy and get some of these negative things you think about dating elevated. And when you leave, watch. You are going to start manifesting better everything because you feel better. So I'm wanting to show people it really starts with you. That's why you're experiencing, because when you get fed that way and you start seeing things come to you, you're going to realize it's not about always feeling sexy and always feeling happy. It's feeling gratitude. Like if you have all those things or you have the faith to know, these are my quotes. If you have the faith to know it's going to be yours, well, then why are you acting that way? Or why are you making those choices? So it's a commitment when you're grateful for something because you just said thank you. So
Hmm.
either you believe it or you don't. So
Don't.
gratitude, it seems like, oh, thank you, but people don't understand the things that I practice that seem so soft and oh, it's so kind and sweet. These are powerful spiritual tools.
Right.
And I'm demonstrating them consistently, showing you, like she said, I'm just doing the same thing
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still here.
Mm-hmm. Still doing it. Still doing it. And so, Parrish, you were constantly reminding me that so many of my friends do and say things that I do privately or that I believe privately. That when you say them, I'm like, mm-hmm, yeah, I can tell you, no bullshit. That's all for real, all all genuine. Because one of the things that I we didn't talk about here, but
Mhm.
very very quickly I'm going to ask you to talk about, which is manifesting through pleasure. Like it was something you said quickly, but if you
Mhm.
could specifically quickly talk
Yeah.
about what manifesting through pleasure looks like, or what it means, or just so that people have an understanding. Because the reason I want you to talk about it is, a, you do it with such intention. For me, it's something that I sort of stumbled into, not gonna lie, stumbled into it because my initial focus was a part of a healing journey, and then I just happened to observe what happened as a result of that. But I know you do it intentionally, so if you could just sort of talk about that real quick.
Yes, I to make it really quick, I want to give everyone a reference. I want you to go to chapter 11 of Think and Grow Rich by
Mm,
Napoleon Hill.
I love that book. Oh my god.
If you read that, and um, not to sound salesy or anything, if you read that book so you have context, scientific context, and then follow me, you don't have to officially follow me, but look at my content and pay attention to the videos where I talk about sex transmutation or orgasmic gratitude meditation. That would be a better way, because if I just say this, people are just going to hear wah 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 masturbate. Wah wah wah.
Yeah. Okay. So then that explains why I can't really explain it. Because like I said, I can tell you I've experienced it, but I wouldn't be able to tell you. I wouldn't be able to go A, B, C, D.
Sex transmutation is a sexual science, and that's what I practice, the sexual science of sex transmutation. What was given to me after my death experience is something called orgasmic gratitude meditation. A spirit communicated with me and told me how to make love to my husband in such a powerful way that he pushed me off of him and was wondering what is inside of me. And then I just started being guided to practice this and do it through self pleasure.
What
And
did
I've
you say it was called
continued
again?
uh,
I'm sorry.
orgasmic gratitude meditation. And there are 5 steps to this practice that Spirit's given me. And when people practice it, you manifest things into your life, but you get rid of the things that you don't want in your life with the things that are coming in. So if you keep dealing with fear, you keep dealing with doubt, exhaustion, lack, whatever it is, you're able to get rid of that,
Mm-hmm.
release that, so that you have more room for the good that's coming in. What most people do is they ear hustle a little bit and go, "Oh, okay, I went home and I did it, and oh my gosh, I manifested." But that I'm sure you did. But
Right.
orgasmic gratitude meditation is a practice of elevation, and when you get to the 5th step, where you're engaging with the pleasure energy, that is when you're connecting with that energy that I spoke about earlier, God being in the orgasm. You know how they say children are the closest to God?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when we're in complete ecstasy, that word comes out of nowhere because those things don't go together, you would think.
Right.
But they do. So it's a very sacred practice. I was super playful about it early on my journey because that's my nature.
Right.
But as the mother energy being wiser, I'll be playful, but not about that because I really want people to take it more serious. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always taken it serious, and the people that do, do. But I think the people that don't get pulled in by my playful sex goddess energy,
Right.
and that's what they're looking for. But really, what I have for you is big mama energy. Come on, sit up on my lap now. I got something to tell you.
Oh my god, I love that. Okay, so Parrish, we have literally come to technically what is the end of the show. But
Okay.
if there was something, some final thoughts that you could share with people, the one thing you want them to take away from this conversation, because I'm gonna have you back, but I kid you not when I say I want to talk about, you know, the things you learned from men that we
Mhm.
as women should know about. We're gonna have that secret conversation. But if there's one thing you want them to take away from tonight, what would that be?
There is so much power in your breath. And you may have heard this from yoga classes and different areas in life where they say, focus on your breath.
Mm-hmm.
What the breath has been translated to is spirit, if you look it up. So, literally, when you inhale, you're inviting spirit into your temple to dwell with you. And if you know, I am the podcaster who has a wildly successful after show with her real life, and that's who I am. When you breathe like that and you know that's who you are, but doubt comes up and says, no, you're not. You keep saying that, you don't do it. Spirit knows that's not who you're being. You're being the person who has it. So it takes the things away that are blocking you or that are out of alignment when you exhale through your mouth. If you do those things centered around the way you feel about the money you want, the love you want, the safety, whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest, you'll realize how powerful just being is when you practice being who you really want to be with the things you really want in your life. Just and breathe. Watch and see how fast things come to you. And when you witness that as a woman and you recognize you've been pushing against being a receptive being, that it'll draw you more into, let me feel that. I want to feel that receptive energy again. It's going to draw you into being if you're a woman, it's going to draw you into being and comfortable with femininity in that expression.
Mm. All right, y'all. You heard what she said. We've got to breathe, and not the auto breathe that we do, but that more intentional. That one. That one. Yeah, we gotta do that
Yeah,
one.
in through your nose, out through your mouth. But it doesn't matter because after a while, the breath starts breathing you. You don't even remember. So you don't have to keep thinking about how to breathe. You do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Check in every now and then and say, what if I was doing this podcast right now and I already had 1 million followers? What if I was washing out this dish and I had 1 million followers? What if I was putting this toilet paper roll? Like, just keep checking in, living your regular life. Because when you get a 1 million followers, you're still going to have to put toilet paper on the roll. You're still going to rinse out
Take care of the
sink.
dishes.
So you're literally being in the now moment. Your
Yeah.
mind doesn't know that you're practicing. You are, no, that person's not going to jump out of the bushes when you, it's you. It's you. So as soon as you say that's who I'm being, that's who you are.
Wow. Wow. And there you have it, folks. If there's anything you can walk away from the show tonight, it's what she just that's what she just said. Listen, because as I have very transparently said to you, there's more that I know I could do, and I haven't, and I've got excuses for why I haven't. And Parrish, put on her big girl, her big mama moment on me without even knowing. This is
I
why you
knew.
all need a friend like Parrish Blair. Ah. All right, y'all. So I don't have anybody lined up for next week just yet because that could always change. But I want to give the utmost gratitude and appreciation to Parrish Blair for joining me tonight. When I absolutely I'm gonna have you back, Parrish, because I really, when I tell you I want to have that conversation about the secret things that men wish we knew, not the Steve Harvey stuff, but like the things that men actually have told you as a woman that we need to know. I want to have that conversation because I know there is that stuff and we need to discuss it. We need to have a girl moment and tell the truth about how do we really adore men, and what are we doing to show them that we're not adoring them? We want to fix that, because we have, we all want to be adored, and we all should be giving adoration. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being Parish Blair.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you who joined the show. If you've got nothing to do at 9 o'clock, I'm going to give you the next 24 minutes to have a potty break, get a snack, do whatever you have to do before BoobTube starts. But I want you all back here on Exotica TV at 9 o'clock for me and my co-host Carrie Anthony and Desirable Bottom. And in the meantime, I'll see you next week. Bye.